Hello, CinSanity! Welcome to another short of our podcast. You get 2 days in a row of that. That's right, people. Yesterday was an extra innings episode about the Reds, and today's going to be about none other than the Belmont race tomorrow. We love horse racing. I'm sure some of you do too. So what we're going to do today is we're going to jump into our picks for the Belmont. And for those of you that aren't as familiar with betting on horse racing, we're going to give you a little bit of information to help kind of cut the curve for you on what to do and what not to do with betting. So, what do you say, Red Legs fans? How about we get this thing started?
I just hold out to the perfect condition. Coming alive. Heat of the night. Now is the time. Don't try to hide. 'Cause I'm gonna hold you like an animal.
A little bit different today, as you heard. In the Stone household, we're big into horse racing. We don't go every day to the track, every week to the track, but on the big races like Churchill Downs, for the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, the Belmont, the Breeders' Cup, and then going to Keeneland twice a year, once for the fall meet, once for the spring meet. We've always been in and around horse racing, but we wanted to give you a little information in case you don't necessarily know as much about betting on horses. So, with that being said, we are going to get started, and we are going to start with race number 7 that runs tomorrow before the actual Belmont race itself.
So if you get a program or a daily racing form, there's a lot of information in that for you to digest.
Okay, so let me pull this up on my screen here. Race 7, horse number 1. We're going to look at that. The horse's name is randomized. If you have a horse that's run a lot of races like this, you will see that some jockeys do better with said horse than others do. So you can look at that as a helpful factor in determining, okay, this horse does really good with Franco on him, but he really doesn't do so great with so-and-so on him. So if Franco's on him, he's a candidate to bet on. If not, I might want to just put him on the back burner for now and move on and look at some other horses. Now, speaking of jockeys, my theory here, any given day they can wake up on the wrong side of the bed. What I like to do when I'm betting on horses is most of my weight in my decision gets put on the jockey first, then the horse. So if I'm at the track for a day and there's 12 races, I probably won't even bet on the first 3 races, because if you just let the first 3 races run and you look at the top 4 horses and jockeys in those first 3 races, you'll start to see a pattern of which jockeys have the hot hand that day. And a lot of times you can ride those jockeys to help figure out the best odds for a winner in a certain race, because they're professional athletes. They all have good days. They all have bad days. Is that a theory you subscribe to, Big Papa?
I certainly subscribe at the better tracks like Saratoga, Belmont, Keeneland. I subscribe to the better jockeys, or the jockeys that are showing more success in a specific day. And for those that want to just see a summary, don't want to get into the detail, if you look at the top right, it will have the number of races that a horse has run lifetime. Next to life, it's run 8 times. It's won 4. It's finished second twice, and it has showed or finished third once. And where that could come into play for any specific horse, or when you're looking at it, is on the right side of that summary at the very bottom, it has distance. It will tell you how many times that horse has run at that distance and how it's done as far as win, place, or show.
Since we're picking a day ahead of time, my theory on letting the first 3 races run and then weighing a big portion of my decision on which horse I'm going to bet on doesn't work. But what you can do is go online and look up the current rankings for the jockeys right now. So I'm online here and I'm looking at it. Number 1 is Irad Ortiz Jr. 2 is Flavian Pratt. 3 is Tyler Gaffleone. 4 is Brian Hernandez Jr., and so on. And you'll see usually they have the number of starts they have so far, the number of wins, places, and shows. Place means the horse came in second. Show means the horse came in third. So how about we dive into race 7, Dad, and I will let you go with your picks and analysis of this race first, and I will chime in thereafter.
Well, in race 7, I think that number 5, Idiomatic, is the prohibitive favorite, as evidenced by the morning line odds of 3-5. And that's based off the fact that the horse is run in 4 straight grade 1 races, being successful in all 4 of those. And he's won 6 in a row, as far as I can tell from the racing form. And if you look at that, he has front running style, which has served him well. And he has the same jockey, Garreau, which is not one of the 4 that Sparky mentioned, but he is a high caliber jockey and has the ability to continue to bring number 5 home. And I think the real threat for me in this race is number 1, Randomized, since we use that as our example. If you look at Randomized at the bottom of the form, it finished 6th in January or June of 23, and then came back and finished 1st. And then it had a bit of a layoff in November of 23 to May of 24, where it finished 2nd. And I think that was a tune-up race that will position it well to do well today in this race.
And just so you are aware, when he said a front running horse, so there's pretty much 3 types of horses these days. You got a front runner, a stalker, and a closer. Front runner gets out in front, stays in front the whole race. Stalker would start probably the 3 to 5 position, and then as it gets towards the back end of the race, will make a push towards the head of the pack. And then a closer is a horse that starts in the back, and when they come around the stretch, they kick it into high gear and get on the outside or navigate traffic and blow by everybody. Me personally, I like closers just because they're fun to watch. So, with that being his picks, I'm going to go a little bit of a different route. To be honest with you, I like Raging Sea first with Flavian Pratt. Number 3 with Tyler Gaffalione, Pretty Mischievous. I think he could be a spoiler in this. So we got 6-3, and then I'm going to go 5 Idiomatic because he's the favorite. And then if I'm really, since it's only a 6-horse race, we'll call this a mid-range long shot. Soul of an Angel with Irad Ortiz Jr. on it. For some reason, Irad's been one of the hottest jockeys, and he's just got a way of finding a way to get these horses to do what they need to do to finish a race well. My typical betting style is, especially in stakes races, grade 1, 2, and 3 races, because they're a little bit more reliable horses. I'll bet a trifecta box, an exacta box, and a win place show. Trifecta is the first 3 horses. When you box it, all 3 of those horses can come in any order, 1, 2, or 3. If it's not boxed, you have to pick the exact order. Same thing for the exacta. The exacta box is the first 2 horses in any order, just an exacta. You got to pick the perfect order of the number 1 horse and the number 2 horse. And then the win place show is I'm essentially picking the winner, but I'm betting on him to win, come in first, to place, come in first or second, and to show, come in first, second, or third.
I will typically bet win play show from time to time, do an exacta. When I don't bet win play show would be when we have a prohibitive favorite in what I would call a short field, which is 6 horses or less, in which I do an exacta box for sure. And this would be one of those races where the morning line odds are 3 to 5, which is less than even money of 1 to 1. And we only have 6 horses in here, so I would probably do an exacta box with some combination of maybe 1, 5, and 6.
My biggest advice is don't think you're going to win every time and start betting big bucks. Do $2 and $4 bets, $6 bets. Don't get crazy. All right, let's go to race 11. We have 9 horses, mutual ratings 5, 9, 1, 7. Well, there's another Great Britain horse with Flavian Pratt on it again, and it looks good.
That would be the horse that interests me the most, and that's the one on which I would do my win play show.
Well, and he's a stalker. Look at his second to last race. 6, 6, 6, 2, 1. And every time out, that horse has been ridden by Flavian Pratt. And every time Pratt's ridden it in a stakes race, he's got 3 first place finishes and 1 second place finish. That's a pretty dang strong horse.
And the 3 wins were all graded 1.
My 4 horses for our trifecta would be not in any certain order because I do the box. Would be 5, 4, 1, and 5, 4, 1, and 9 probably.
I'm just going 5 across the board. Win, play, show.
Well, that settles that. Now to the big one, ladies and gentlemen, the Belmont. It was the Triple Crown killer until American Pharaoh most recently won the Triple Crown.
Clearly a champ.
All right, so who you got for the Belmont?
Well, you brought up closers earlier in this conversation, and I've been on and have never left Sierra Leone. I believe that as I look at the racing form, the horses had a lot of success. If you look, it was 18th starting out, 17th, 8th, 3rd, then 2nd. It had some traffic problems. There will not be 20 horses in this race. I think it should be able to get a cleaner ride, and I am looking forward to Flavian Pratt to grace the winner's circle with his presence.
Yeah, we've both been on Sierra Leone. I mean, I had Sierra Leone in all my picks for the Derby, and he got beat by just a touch. Dude, if he had won, I would have been in the chips.
And to your point on jockeys, if we're going to talk about exactas, while it's only run 2 races, I think the 10-horse Mind Frame with Irad Ortiz is one that I would have to include in any exotic bets I would make for the day.
Yep. Now, let's go to the flip side of this. Whoever wins the Derby, so you got the Kentucky Derby, 2 weeks later, you got the Preakness, 3 weeks later, you got the Belmont. Typically, a lot of times these horses, when they run a race, they won't race again for another month. This Triple Crown, obviously 2 weeks between the first 2 and then 3 weeks between the second one and the third race. That's a very short time span. So whoever wins the Derby, sometimes they won't run them in the Preakness, but most of the times they're running in the Preakness because they want their shot at that Triple Crown. Number 3, Mystik Dan, won the Derby, raced in the Preakness. Came in second in the Preakness. Not a bad showing. He didn't get his butt whooped, but he's not got as fresh legs as anyone else in the field. I would not put a lot of stock in Mystik Dan if I'm betting on this race because that horse is going to be tired.
I subscribe to the same theory.
So for me, I like the first 2 horses you picked. I like 9 and 10. Like we said, I've been on Sierra Leone. He's a closer. I love closers. They make things interesting and fun. There's a lot of jockeys riding horses, like, for example, good ones like Florent Garreau on the 8-horse, Tyler Gaffleone on the 7-horse. They're riding horses that they have not ridden before. So who knows how they're going to react. I do like Antiquarian. He's got tight spacing as well from his last race to this one, but he has done well with Velasquez riding him. So that'd be my mid-range long shot for this race is number 5, Antiquarian, because Velasquez is a good jockey. So you got 9, 10, and 5. So if I'm going to do a trifecta box, I'm going to have 4 horses. I got to pick a 4th.
And I tend to gravitate toward number 4, Wine Stewart, who has been in win or place the last 6 races in a row.
9, 10, 5, and 4. Those are going to be my trifectas. Then I'm going to knock one off and have 3 horses for an exacta. So that's going to be 9, 10, and 5. And then to win, I mean, you bet on a favorite to win, play, show. You're going to get your money back, but you're not going to win a lot. So just because of that reason, I probably would put a win, play, show on number 5, Antiquarian, who's at 12-1 right now. And Velasquez has ridden him every time. He didn't finish in the money 1 out of the 4 races. So 75% of the time that horse has been in the money with Velasquez on his back.
Well, I'm going to go just an exacta box of 9, 10, 4. And I am a conservative accountant, so I am certainly going to stay with number 9 across the board, win, play, show.
Go Sierra Leone. Bring her home.
I'm looking forward to the call to the post tomorrow. See how this falls out.
All right. See y'all later.
Cheers.